Welcome to Ceasefire, where civics meets civility and engagement meets empowerment. Ceasefire is hosted by former Boerne ISD trustee and owner of the Boerne Bookshop, Dale Adams, and by former Boerne City Council member and local insurance agent, Ron Cisneros. Ready, aim, ceasefire.
Good morning, Kendall County. This is Ceasefire. My name is Dale Adams.
And I'm Ron Cisneros.
And today we are going to talk about the justice of the peace. And we've got one in here from Precinct 1, Michelle Van Tavern. Thank you for coming down.
Thanks for having me.
Got a lot to uncover today. I met you many years ago when you were on the police force. And so you started off with BPD. Was that your first police assignment or?
I started out as a jailer in Midland County.
Oh my goodness. All right.
2008.
All right.
And then as an investigator for Midland County, and then when we moved to Boerne, I became a patrol officer.
Okay. Awesome. And then you got an appointment to fill a vacancy.
Correct.
Right. How did that process work?
There was a vacancy. I had been with Boerne PD almost 6 years. Prior to that, law enforcement since 2008. I was a deputy for the U.S. Marshals for the Fugitive Task Force in West Texas. So anyway, I just kind of wanted something different, something that gave me better office hours and not outside hours. So I put my name in the hat for that position, and they did it just like a job interview. There was other applicants. I think there was 5 of us. And then I was invited back for the second interview and then presented to the commissioners to see if they wanted me. That's how they chose me.
All right. And they did. So obviously they picked you, but almost immediately you have to run for office now, right? I mean, that was like within months of being appointed, you then had to run an election.
Correct. I think 6 months later, then people could put their name in the hat to run against me, but nobody did. So gave me an opportunity to learn the job.
Yeah. As an elected official, I appreciated it when nobody ran against me.
Right?
That was always a good experience, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Even though I personally believe we should always have opponents, it's always nice when you don't.
I didn't want an opponent because I was just getting started.
Yeah.
So you start off in law enforcement, and in a way, you're kind of still in it, but on the judiciary side. I mean, you're not out there arresting people anymore. Now you're kind of doing the punishment part of it, right? Or even beyond that. So tell us a little bit about what a JP does and what made you step into that position.
When I took the position, I didn't know all that it entailed. So, of course, I had to start reading and Googling and asking about. But as a jailer in 2008, I used to take the inmates to see the magistrate. So I knew that aspect of it because part of our job is to magistrate the defendants. You're just a second line in the judiciary where we're giving them their rights. They understand their rights. They know what they're being charged with. So I was familiar with that. We set the bonds. And, of course, we look at all the things that go into that, whether they have priors, whether they're a danger to themselves or, more importantly, society. Yep. That part of the job I understood and knew right away how to do it. We are the punisher part of traffic court. I like to say compliance, not punishment. A lot of these things are fix-it tickets, like registration. We want to dismiss those as long as people get in compliance with what the law requires. The officers put their life on the line every traffic stop they make. I remember being an officer, and you never know when you get out of your patrol car and approach a vehicle, if just a mom who rolled through a stop sign or somebody who wants to take your life. So I take that part real serious. I'm not in favor of dismissing citations. I don't dismiss citations. I don't have the right to dismiss citations. That's up to the DA's office unless they're fix-it tickets. I take them each seriously. I feel like if an officer did their job in stopping somebody, it was for a good reason. And We're going to look at the whole traffic stop. If somebody pleads not guilty, which I encourage people to do if they have a story to tell, if they have a reason for the infraction, then we meet in court and we discuss it and view video footage. But for the most part, it's about compliance. It's kind of like I just remembered I'm supposed to not go 80 miles an hour in a 60 in a little defensive driving class.
Why are you looking at me?
No reason.
Look over there.
No, I don't need to look.
We have a guest. No reason to look at me.
You know, as you're talking about all these things that you do and these cases that you address, a lot of people might think, oh, that's just sort of the little stuff. And it's true that like the district judge and stuff, they did get all these sort of high profile things. But the justice of the peace, your role is sort of helps to sort of keep all the little things in line. Keep everybody driving correctly or behaving correctly on the little side. And that sort of prevents things from bubbling up and becoming worse at a societal level.
Correct.
And so I think it's a very important role in a community, even though we don't really see it much unless we do speed too much or
right?
whatever.
Well, the justice court is intended to be the people's court.
Yeah.
It's intended to be your first line of your first step into the judicial system. You know, a lot of times people come in and they want to complain about the deputy or the trooper. And although we smile and say, oh, you know, I'm sorry that happened to you, we refer them either to the sheriff's office or to DPS because they're not my officers.
Right,
You know,
right,
some people will come in there real angry and say, well, your deputies, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, they're not mine.
So you were talking, you gave an example a little while ago about somebody blowing through a stop sign. That's personal to you, isn't it? Didn't you? I mean, you had an experience at one point.
Oh, yeah. I had an experience. No, it wasn't just a stop sign. Well, I guess kind of I was a stop sign. I was a human stop sign.
Yeah.
I was directing traffic when I got hit by a individual that was speeding and was under the influence. So I was the first line of defense, I guess. I was the stop
Literally.
sign. Yeah.
What was the impact of that on you? I mean, that must have been awful to experience.
As a police officer, we train for everything. You know, if you have a angry person or a drunk person or somebody with a knife or somebody with a gun, we do all these scenarios and training and where it's muscle memory. But you don't really train for directing traffic and then getting hit by a truck. In all seriousness, I always laugh and just say, you know, that one time where I was built Ford tough, that's what I always call it, because it was a Ford truck. I just feel like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Not that I want to get in an accident like that, but about 30 yards from where I got struck, the people coming from football games crossed behind the tennis courts into the parking lot, that Kendall County Annex building right there where JP3 is in elections. And so had I not been the reason for the stop, you know, that gentleman could have plowed through 60 people, you know, kids, parents.
Wow,
I even remember seeing a lady pushing a stroller across the street like seconds before I got hit. So although it was unfortunate, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it was meant to be, because I'm alive. I'm fine.
Yeah, right.
The gentleman, I believe, got the help that he needed. He's not rotting away in jail anywhere, thank God. You know, it was hard for my kids to wrap their mind around it because my little boy always thought I was a superhero. You know, police officers are superheroes, so he couldn't wrap his mind around that the bad guy was just a dad who made a bad choice. He wasn't a bad guy.
Right.
So lessons learned all around.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he must really think you're a superhero now because you won, right? Like, you're still like, I don't know. I'd have to be thinking like the movie Unbreakable. And it's like, oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe then he did, but he's 16 now. So you know how boys are.
Oh,
You know how teenagers are.
Yeah. No,
I'm not cool anymore.
No, but you know what? When he's 50, he'll be like, "Oh, Mom," you know, he'll come back.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break. This is Ceasefire with Dale and Ron, and we're with Michelle Van Tavern, GP of Precinct 1. We'll be right back. Bernie has its own bookshop. In fact, it's called the Bernie Bookshop. Hi, I'm Dale Adams, inviting you to get lost. Get lost in a good book in our relaxed and casual atmosphere. We have a wide and eclectic selection in the Bernie Bookshop. We pride ourselves on finding what you are looking for. We do author meet and greets, host writing workshops, and can connect you with a good book club. And your young ones will absolutely love our kids section at the Bernie Bookshop. And while we want you to get lost, we're easy to find, as we're in the heart of Bernie at the back of the Richter Tavern building. We are the Bernie Bookshop. Welcome back to Ceasefire with Dale and Ron. Our guest today is Michelle Van Tavern, Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1. And what has drawn you into the whole arena of justice? What drew you first to be a police officer and now has drawn you into being a Justice of the Peace? Is there something in your past that sort of drove you this way, or just?
No, I've always had that want to be a servant, I guess. Mm-hmm. When I was 3, my dad bought me a little 6-volt Fisher-Price vehicles or whatever. I don't know what brand it was, Hot Wheels. And it was a patrol trike. And I used to drive around and give tickets to people in my family.
Oh, man.
And I do remember one time my Uncle Lewis saying, well, where do I go to fight this? And I was like, what? You don't get to fight this. I wrote this ticket, you know. So anyways, it kind of grew from there. I wanted to be a judge. I didn't want to go through all the schooling. I didn't know that a lot of municipal court judges and JPs don't have to have a law degree. As a matter of fact, that's the reason we have JPs, because we're supposed to be of the people.
Right.
We're supposed to represent the people that are in our community, be one and the same as them, so less intimidating for people to come and file small claims or debt claims or whatever.
It's sort of more common sense based interaction rather than a legal based interaction with the government. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a police officer, you're always trying to settle disputes between people. Mm-hmm. Not always. These are more calm.
That's nice.
Calm kind of events, but it's basically the same. They both want to be heard. They both deserve to be heard. So you're just trying to settle a dispute. I was a negotiator for Bernie PD, so I don't know, that kind of helped me as well. I have 3 kids, so that makes me a really good negotiator. Yeah. There were times we had those big boxing gloves. I'd put the kids in the backyard and just tell them, go. You know, one of them would win. And then we'd move on.
So do you find yourself being a mediator between people a lot?
I do, in small claims. There's not very often where we leave small claims court and the plaintiff gets exactly what they wanted and the defendant gets what they wanted. I mean, for the most part, I try to find middle ground, something that works for both of them. Justice court isn't, where you go to make $1 million.
Right.
It's a $20,000 cap. It's usually a justified complaint. You hired somebody to build a fence and you paid them X amount and they got halfway through it and, skipped town or whatever.
Right.
So those are legit. It's funny though when the plaintiff asks for thousands of dollars more than they had paid for the fence to begin with, because you have to, go through the law books, and that's not justice court.
Everybody thinks their pain and suffering should be worth lots and lots and lots.
Right. Well, heck, I just spent an hour on the phone with MasterCard. Now they owe me. Pain and suffering.
That's right.
So we talked about speeding tickets and we talked about small claims court. There's also the truancy aspect, right? You handle the truancy for the schools.
I handle the ones for the middle schools, Bernie Middle School North and South, Kendall Elementary, Fannin, but they're in my precincts. We had quite a few last year. Thank goodness we're not so much this year. Maybe it just kids are wanting to be in school this year. You know, it just changes with each class. You know, you have a good class and you have a bad class.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you do in that position that we wouldn't be aware of? Or maybe something that you do today that you hadn't thought about when you were applying for that job?
Well, the inquests. I mean, as a police officer, I know we'd have to call out for the JP to come. They're called out to see that everything was done correctly. If an investigation needs to move forward, then it's moved forward. And our community's growing, so there's going to be more. We're building a hospital, so there's probably going to be more.
Yeah.
So you go to the hospitals and do the same function there?
Right. So Bernie ER is not an admittance hospital. It's just an ER.
Right.
So if anybody comes in, you know, via ambulance or somebody brought them in because they're having a medical episode and they happen to pass away at our ER, then I'm called because the doctor can't sign a death certificate. They don't know anything about that person and they don't have the means to investigate, you know, everything that happened the days before this person ended up in the emergency room.
How many of those would you say you do in a given month? How many of those inquests?
3 or 4 a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
December, I was lucky I didn't have any. We're on a rotating schedule as JPs. For the most part, we always cover our own precinct. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, one JP will cover for everybody.
Yeah.
Unless someone's training or out sick or something else. But yeah, we're on call 25 days out of the month.
Yeah.
We get a few days off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that limits your ability to get too far from the county.
Right. I don't leave Kendall County unless it's on a weekend that I'm not on call.
So even if you want to go down to the rim to buy something,
Yeah, no.
you can't really do that until the weekend comes, and then you're allowed to.
Correct.
Wow.
I've had instances where a kid needs something and we're just not going to go get it.
I have a question about your passion. What is it about your job that you have sort of discovered that it's just something that you like dive into, that you think, wow, this is just something really neat or important that I'm just going to jump into and do a lot of?
Well, I'm really passionate about teaching people about our justice system. I feel like some people, maybe because of a language barrier or because of something they believe to be true that's not true, they don't feel like they have the right to stand up for themselves or discuss their issues. I spend a lot of time trying to teach that to people. I'd like them to know all their options before. I like for people to know all their options. I don't like for people to say, oh man, I got a $250 speeding ticket, and then they just pay it. And then they don't realize in a few months their insurance is higher because they have a new charge. So I like to take the minute to explain to people, we can do defensive driving. We can do a deferral. We can, as a mom with 3 kids, my insurance is expensive. So I always try to help people to understand that. The eviction process, you know, I know some people get evicted and they just leave. And maybe they have paid their rent, or maybe their living conditions were awful, and they've tried to explain to the management, you know, that we didn't have running water for 3 days, or, you know, I feel like people need to know what their rights are.
Yeah.
And make informed decisions based on everything that I can give them legally. You know, I can't give legal advice, but I can give them the facts, and I make sure my office has all the forms printed out that they need, websites they can go to ask questions. I just feel like informed decisions are better than knee-jerk reactions.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting because Judge Cahoon talked a lot about education also to the people that come before her. So that's interesting. I guess a lot of judges do that they find themselves teaching people about the law and and their options and different things. So that's an interesting thing.
Well, my husband always used to make fun of me because no matter what he came to tell me or complain about someone or tell me a story that he saw on TV, I would always not pick the other side, but I would always see it from a different angle.
Yeah.
And he called me the defender of all. And I'm like, well, some people need a voice. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then if they still make bad choices after they have all their information they need, then that's on them.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, then you become Michelle Van Hammer.
Right? Right? I was just joking with my kids the other day because one of the officers we were eating lunch with said, this is the only officer that I've ever met who had people say, thank you for bringing me to jail when I would drop them off. I would make friends with these people on the way. I want them to feel, I want to make sure that they know the reason they're going to jail is because of what they've done. I'm just their ride.
But that's really a service, though, because it's important for a community to feel comfortable around its officers and to connect with them in some way or another. You know,
Right.
I think that's really good.
Especially for kids. They need to see that an officer's an ally.
Yes. Right. And you were an SRO for a while too, right?
Right.
A little while. Yeah. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. You like that? Yeah.
I miss the kids.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I had a girl that came up to get married the other day, and I was like, I remember her. I was a softball coach there for a while, and she was on my team. And then, of course, I'd see her at school. So it just kind of went full circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
As our county continues to grow, and it's growing like a weed, what do you anticipate are future needs of the JP courts?
In my office, we need to better staff some of our offices. I have one clerk that's assigned to my office. We bring in about $30,000 a month in revenue. We have a lot of the interstate from Johns Road all the way to Bear County. We have a lot of citations written in our precinct. We have a lot of small claims and evictions because we house most of the apartment complexes. Mm-hmm. My inquests are pretty high, again, because I also have the hospital and the interstate and 46 going west. We know how dangerous that is. I feel like we're constantly playing catch up with just one clerk. Mm-hmm. We need 2 full-time clerks. It's a disservice to the public that they don't get to come in and review all their options with, me and my clerk both are very informative and we want to give everyone all the information that they need. But then when we've got a line of people and the phone's ringing off the hook. Yeah. So I just think in general, we're going to see across the board a need for more clerks, and they're fun jobs. They're, I'm a fun boss. I love Melody. I love my clerk. I take care of her.
Yeah, but that's sort of an issue with growth. As you grow, it takes more people to handle the various issues that crop up in a community. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, with that, I'm going to bring out a book that we have at the Bernie Bookshop. It's called Murder in Bernie, Texas. And this is actually based on an 1867 massacre that happened to a family just outside of town. And the book just got published, the Genealogical Society. Richard Tomlinson put it together. And it's a great little piece of history. It's a terrible event. There's not a lot of, I don't know if I want to say closure. They didn't exactly, lock anybody up for it. But it's quite a fascinating bit of Bernie history. And we've got it at the Bernie Bookshop. And I think that wraps it up. Michelle, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us about justice peace, because I know it's one of the things that I always wonder about. When I come time to vote for them, I'm like, okay, what do they do? And do I know any of them? But thank you. And
thanks for having me.
Sure. And if anybody missed any of this, you can always go to bernieradio.com and listen to the podcast. And we'll see you next week.